Good morning, all. I see that it's 10 o'clock. Let's come to order, please, and go on the record. I am Derek Mertz, staff attorney for the North Carolina Utilities Commission and hearing examiner for this proceeding. I now call for hearing docket number E-22 sub 643, which is the application by Dominion Energy North Carolina for approval of renewable energy and energy efficiency portfolio standard cost recovery rider pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 62-133.8 and Commission Rule R8-67. On August 9th, 2022, Dominion Energy North Carolina filed its application to address approval of cost recovery for compliance with the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard. We are here this morning to accept public witness testimony on this application and others. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 138A-15, members of the Commission and its legal counsel have a duty to avoid conflicts of interest. I state for the record that I have no known conflicts of interest with respect to this docket. I now call on the parties to announce their appearances, starting with the applicant.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz. I'm Mary Lynn Brigg with the law firm of McGuire Woods, appearing on behalf of Dominion Energy North Carolina.
Welcome.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz. I am William Freeman. Seated with me is Zeke Creech and Tom Felling. We are attorneys with the public staff here on behalf of the using and consuming public.
Has the public staff identified any public witnesses for this proceeding?
We have not, hearing examiner.
For the record, is there anyone in this room that wishes to speak on the reps rider proceeding, not the other two proceedings? Let the record reflect that there are no members of the public who have identified themselves to speak in this speak on this application. This concludes this hearing. Thank you for your attendance. Good morning. Let's come to order, please, and go on the record. I am Derek Mertz, staff attorney for the North Carolina Utilities Commission and hearing examiner for this proceeding. I now call for hearing docket number E-22 sub 644, which is the application by Dominion Energy North Carolina pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 62-133.2 and Commission Rule R8-55 regarding fuel and fuel-related charge adjustments for electric utilities. On August 9th, 2022, Dominion Energy North Carolina filed its application to address the fuel and fuel-related cost components of its electric rates. We are here this morning to accept public witness testimony on this application. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 138A-15, members of the Commission and its legal counsel have a duty to avoid conflicts of interest. I state for the record that I have no known conflict of interest with respect to this proceeding. I now call on the parties to announce their appearances, starting with the applicant.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz. Mary Lynn Brigg with McGuire Woods on behalf of Dominion Energy North Carolina.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz. I am William Freeman, and with me is Zeke Creech and Thomas Felling, attorneys with the public staff here on behalf of the using and consuming public.
I understand that the public staff has identified 3 witnesses who wish to speak in this proceeding.
We have, hearing examiner. If they could come forward, please.
And I understand they wish to speak as a panel.
Yes, yes, hearing examiner.
Before we begin, I'd like to say a few words about procedure. In conducting this hearing, the Commission functions in a judicial capacity. Because the Commission functions as a court, we cannot respond to questions in this proceeding. Instead, we are here to receive evidence from you all in the form of your testimony. The public staff, which represents the using and consuming public, is made a party to this proceeding pursuant to statute. And in this proceeding, the public staff represents you, the using and consuming public, and the public staff will assist you in providing your testimony tonight. Please refrain from offering opinions on matters that are not related to the application that is at issue in this docket. In lieu of oral testimony, you may also submit written testimony as long as you swear to its accuracy. Any written statements must be submitted and identified by a person under oath during this hearing. Counsel for any party may ask you questions following your testimony. In addition, the hearing examiner will also have an opportunity to ask you questions. Because you all are testifying as a panel, I allow you to speak for no more than 10 minutes in this proceeding. Are you ready to be sworn?
Yes. Yes.
Do you each solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Could you each state your name for the record?
Brian. Okay. Brian Ennis.
Tim Conway.
Andrew Waters.
And are you each Dominion customers in a sense?
In a sense, let's say potential.
You each have an interest in this particular proceeding?
Yes.
Yes.
If you'd please proceed.
If I may start, my group owns the former Edgecombe Genco facility in Brattleboro, North Carolina. It was a coal-fired power plant that produced 115 megawatts of power. Started running in the late 80s, and my group, we actually buy and redevelop retired power plants, mostly coal plants. Edgecombe was one of our projects we currently own. We shut down Edgecombe in 2019 and look for the next development for that project to bring jobs and revenue to Brattleboro. Currently, we have a potential buyer for the property that will bring a large amount of power to the site, buying from Dominion Energy. And this is Tim Conway. I introduced these guys here in a second, but just to finish my point on this, yes, we are the owner of the property. We are interested in Dominion's rate case, fuel rate case, in addition to a demand response program that we understand that is not in North Carolina right now under PJM. So there's kind of two subjects here, if you will. Talking a little bit about the fuel increase and also a suggestion on demand response, which I'll bring these guys in for that. So I guess I'll introduce the potential buyer, Tim Conway, and then his representative for energy, Andrew Waters.
Hello, again, my name is Tim Conway. I'm a principal with 98.6 Redevelopment Partners. We purchase former industrial sites and redevelop them. We are in a purchase and sale agreement for the property that Mr. Enos here mentioned, and we're here today to talk about the proposed rate increase. As Brian said, we're looking to bring back 100 or more megawatts of power to the site to create a data as well as other manufacturing at the site, utilizing the rail that is there in addition to the Dominion substation. And the rate increase that has been proposed of 89 cents, given if we were to just bring in initially 50 megawatts and then increase, for us, that increase would end up being about $320,000 plus per month for us. And that could have a huge effect on whether the project can go forward for us. In addition, we will have a very large infrastructure build out that the development is planned. And we will also be bringing multiple jobs to the Brattleboro area if this project can go forward and we can close on the facility. As Brian indicated, one of the possibilities, although not in place right now, that could help offset that would be a direct response program. And to talk about that and give some more in particulars is our energy consultant, Andrew Waters, with Energy Mark.
Good morning. Andrew Waters from Energy Mark. I'm on behalf of 96 Redevelopment Partners. We've done some look backs in reference to assisting Tim and his group, as well as Brian, in relation to what the rate case affects his project and some of the secondary components that will assist not only Dominion, North Carolina, and him make the project work well. Collectively, looking at the total energy price is one of the things that, as you can imagine, as Tim referenced, helps him finalize and Brian also finalize redevelopment of the site here in North Carolina. One of the goals is to be sustainable and renewable for the site. Other projects, including solar, battery adds, and things collectively are in process or in expectation of this site. The curtailment program component, as you can imagine from previous locations that Tim and his group develop and redevelop and establish nice projects at, is curtailment programs of reducing power and load demand on the grid. And those programs not available yet in North Carolina, but are familiar with Dominion and PJM in Virginia, same exact program, would make a dramatic impact on whether this works or not, as Tim referenced. But the secondary thing is the carbon reduction or CO2 emission improvements to the air quality of North Carolina is one of the things we'd like to submit today, just for reference. If allowable, we would like to submit that for documentation to the committee.
Any objection from the parties?
Objection.
No objection.
Thank you.
Will be submitted.
Can I just, one more point on that, the curtailment, demand response, the
Thank you,
same thing.
Thank you.
Different definitions, but they are the same thing.
Thank you. That's pretty much collectively. Yeah, we would ask, is this the right time to discuss that briefly, or is that for a separate time in discussion as it relates to the project? Is really, I know we can't ask questions, but
I mean,
we
in
don't want
terms
to
of,
take up your time if it's not allowable, sir.
I mean, you have 3 minutes remaining if you
Okay.
wish to proceed with discussing that at this time, or you wish to hold it for the next proceeding, you can do so.
Sure, we'd like to, I'll take my time if that works. Agreeable. Yeah,
Please
thank you.
proceed.
Similar to many other states, these demand response or curtailment programs, which briefly are reducing your power use to the tune of 50, 100 megawatts. To give you a summary, reducing 100 megawatts on the grid on Dominion would be reducing 500 metric tons of CO2 every year into the air, and a phenomenal improvement, which also the Governor Cooper established 1 year ago on October 13th, that the commission has to, or is really encouraged to, reduce all CO2 emissions. And we believe collectively it works a great partnership here in North Carolina for Tim's group, Brian's group, and certainly the environment, right? Which is a win-win for everybody at the community, the utility level, Dominion, and certainly healthier communities and great projects like Tim hopes to redevelop that are green, sustainable, solar included projects, which also increase the tax base and the job encouragement here in North Carolina. I would stipulate that that would probably be all a win-win situation for everybody. And the curtailment programs in the large scale forest through the trees viewpoint is one of the reasons why the rate case collectively is the discussion, right, today for us, right? Because it really makes that project fly and is a great solution for Tim and 98.6 Redevelopment Group.
Understood. Does that conclude your testimony?
Very briefly, Rocky Mount, Nash County, Edgecombe County, Economic Development Group is very high on this project. Obviously, they want the jobs and they want the investment in the community. There's an intermodal facility, brand new next door that CSX built. So this just perfect for this location to bring even more jobs to this area.
Are there any questions from the applicant or the parties?
I have just a couple.
Please.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Thank you for coming. As I said previously, I'm Mary Lynn Grigg. I represent Dominion in North Carolina. And I am familiar from the company about your proposed project. They've asked me some questions about it. Mr. Conway, I'll direct the first question to you, but anyone may answer. I did not hear, or maybe I did not hear, what do you propose to do with the Edgecombe Genco plant?
It will be multi-development where we'll utilize each of the assets that the property has to offer. So for example, the substation where we plan to build a data services center in one area. The rail will plan to build some warehousing. And then possibly on the other portion, we're doing an analysis for some type of solar battery usage as well.
And
Thank-
just to confirm, the plant has been demoed. The plant's
Yeah,
no longer
no,
there.
plant.
I did not understand that.
sorry.
That's what was
Sorry.
confusing me. Thank you for that clarification.
There's-
And you said that you had hoped this would bring job opportunity to the Brattleboro area. Do you have an estimate as to how many jobs you project it
Yeah,
could bring?
it'll be over time as the developments happen. But in phase one, we're looking at probably about 20 full-time jobs. That's not including any of the construction. Those are just once the development is up and running. And those jobs will also be related to the data center, so they will be higher paying jobs. Average salary will probably be high five to low six-figure area. And then as we build out each other phase, additional jobs will be added. Phase two would be the warehouse area. And it may be a combination as we're looking and doing the analysis on the battery and solar as well.
Thank you. And I understand y'all have talked to Bob Trexler as a
Yes.
company about this, and
That's
I'm
correct.
sure he
And
will
Brian's.
continue to have those discussions with you all. Just thank you for your time for appearing today. No further questions.
Thanks for your question.
Public staff?
If you would mind giving the court reporter your, the mailing address for you. It doesn't have to be your personal address, but your business address.
Sure.
Brian Ennis is 592 Captain Beam Boulevard, BEAM, Hampstead, North Carolina, 28443.
Tim Conway, 98.6 Redevelopment Partners, 311 Meadow Suite Drive, State College, Pennsylvania, 16801.
Andrew Waters, Energy Mark LLC. That's at 6653 Main Street, Buffalo, New York, 14221.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
And as hearing examiner, I do not have any follow-up questions. I do want to thank you for your testimony. It
Here in
will-
Examiner Mertz, would it be appropriate to enter into evidence the Waters exhibit?
Absolutely.
We'd like to mark this exhibit Waters Exhibit 1 and for the record.
It will be received into evidence.
Thank you very much.
The testimony you've given in the exhibit will be considered by the commission. Normally, I would excuse you, but if you'd please remain in your seats for the next proceeding. If there's nothing further, this concludes the hearing for the fuel rider proceeding.
Sorry, quick question. So for the rest of the group that's watching, would there be follow-up questions by email or any questions from the rest of the commission? How would they come to us?
There will not be follow-up questions to this proceeding. They would be at this proceeding. For the record, if I did not restate that the fuel rider proceeding has been concluded, it has been concluded. We will proceed to the next proceeding. Good morning. Let's come to order, please, and go on the record. I am Derek Mertz, staff attorney for the North Carolina Utilities Commission and hearing examiner for this proceeding. I now call for hearing docket number E-22, sub 645, which is the application by Dominion Energy North Carolina for approval of demand-side management and energy efficiency cost recovery rider pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 62-133.9 and Commission Rule R8-69. On August 9th, 2022, Dominion Energy North Carolina filed its application to address approval of cost recovery for its demand-side management and energy efficiency programs. We are here this morning to accept public witness testimony for this application. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 138A-15, members of the Commission and its legal counsel have duty to avoid conflicts of interest. I state for the record that I have no known conflict of interest as to this proceeding. I now call on the parties to announce their appearances, starting with the applicant.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz, Mary Lynn Grigg with McGuire Woods on behalf of Dominion Energy North Carolina.
Good morning, hearing examiner Mertz. I am William Freeman, and with me is Zeke Creech and Thomas Felling, attorneys with the public staff, which is here on behalf of the using and consuming public. Thank you.
And I understand that there are 3 persons present here to testify in this proceeding.
Yes, there are. Thank you.
Would you all identify yourselves for the record?
Brian Ennis.
Tim Conway?
Andrew Waters.
And could you give your address or your business address for the proceeding?
592 Captain Beam Boulevard, Hampstead, North Carolina, 28443.
311 Meadow Sweet Drive, State College, Pennsylvania, 16801.
6653 Main Street, Buffalo, New York, 14221.
And you have just recently given testimony in the docket number E-22 sub 44 proceeding. Do you wish to restate your comments from that proceeding, or would you like to have the court reporter, would you like to adopt and incorporate by reference those statements given in that proceeding to be copied into the record in this proceeding?
I would like personally our comments copied into this proceeding, if we may expand on that a little bit in this section.
I will allow you to do so. And would you swear that that testimony that you gave is accurate and true?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay. That testimony will be copied into the record. The exhibit that was submitted in that docket will also be submitted into this record, so long as there is no objection.
No objection from the public staff.
No objection.
We'll give you an additional 5 minutes to speak as to this docket.
Okay.
And hearing examiner, if I'll remind the panel that they still remain under oath from the prior swearing.
Right. I'm going to reintroduce Andrew to expand on some of these points, if you will. But again, from the owner's perspective, this site has sat idle since 2019 with no jobs and no investment. Okay. So just a reminder to the commission that 50 megawatts of power is a lot of power. It can light up the city. So that being a customer to Dominion in that location, bringing this many jobs and this much investment, millions of dollars in investment to Rocky Mount area. Anyway, if you don't mind, Andrew, just kind of expand on some of those demand response potential, and then the curtailment part that, again, speaking to Bob Trexler, they are looking into some curtailment options for this group, but please.
Sure. Similarly to my previous testimony, I would expand on that it really helps the public, which we're here for, and additionally to not just create jobs, not just create tax revenue, but create a better livable environment for the North Carolina community. And it is a win-win situation for not only this project to work, quite often in the green environment of energy, as we're probably most are aware of, actually costs the taxpayer money. And it's a fight whether you actually have to hit the taxpayer for it or whether you actually have to install a new policy that is a little bit tough to take to become a little more sustainable or renewable. And in this context, which many states probably could provide you extensive examples, or we could do that at a later follow-up date if you if the commission wishes. We can provide certainly more evidence that curtailment programs for both Dominion and for the public of North Carolina is a great benefit, particularly to this site, not just because of average industrial use, but the exceptional project identity, not just of data centers, but where those are future going for the significance of the carbon footprint in this situation that Brian's trying to also assist in getting a new project off the ground for North Carolina. It'll help out with brownouts. Certainly we have EV vehicles coming up in the next 5 to 10 years. Probably not too many Teslas are seen recently in the community, but we all know it's coming, right? And the house resident person is going to put a lot more demand on the grid collectively, thereby probably increasing the amount of curtailment programs that are necessary for Dominion to provide the community these curtailment programs. And it really helps Tim in his project for a rate case and also the taxpayers by providing them also keeping costs down. Demand response programs actually lower the total cost of energy prices on the grid for the end user and make it more sustainable for the resident, the commercial property, as well as the large case, exceptional large case industrial project like Tim and 98.6 redevelopment is developing. Certainly half a or 500 metric tons every year for one project in this case is a significant amount of CO2 emissions. But collectively, we believe that it's a good situation for all of North Carolina to consider that going forward, much like the governor has kind of encouraged everyone to consider this coming year. I would stipulate also that they're on a timeline. Brian's on a timeline, 98.6 is on a timeline. Typically, we know the utilities. I'm very over 14 years of experience in the utility industry in Buffalo, New York State, Pennsylvania, and other states. We know these things do not move quickly, but they are both, speaking on behalf of both of them, they are both in a scenario where the livelihood of this project really would be well equipped if the commission could work out some solutions, whether this is actually feasible or not for both the public and both for Dominion quickly. Frankly, I guess I could probably put it that way. Thank you.
No, I would just add that we, as the proposed purchaser of this property, are excited about our plans, what we'd like to do, and you know, the amount of power and cost related to that is, you know, extremely significant. And as Andrew said, you know, we would like to move forward on the project, and the results of kind of what the commission does with the rate increase and demand response has a large effect on that. So we appreciate your time and listening to us.
Thank you.
And anything to add?
I would say I'm back to the window, right? So, I mean, they're a long-term user here for power, right? So, I mean, we understand it takes time to get through channels. I know, McGuire Wood, you guys get involved. You have to, you know, go through your channels as well, right? You're representing Dominion and to the commission. So it's very important that things move swiftly, if you will. But they're a long-term player in this project, so they'll be here for a long time.
Questions from the applicant?
No questions.
Questions from the public staff?
No questions, thank you.
I did have one follow-up. Could you expound a little bit upon what you mean by they're on a timeline? I mean, maybe a little bit more detail and how that might impact, how much commission action might impact the feasibility of the project?
As the owner, I'll maybe comment and then Tim can follow up. But we are under a PSA, purchase sale agreement right now. They're in their due diligence period. And we literally are supposed to close in the next 30 days. So this will happen. They will be the owners of this property with no indication of how they're going to buy power and how much they're going to pay for power, and if they're going to have next year maybe a demand response program or not. So things are moving fast on our side, and we're going to sell this property to them. So it's important for them to have some comfort level going forward. So
Thank you. Thank
very
you.
fast timeline.
Thank you.
I think that's a very good explanation of kind of where we are.
Any questions on hearing examiner questions?
No, sir.
None.
I have nothing further. I do want to thank you, gentlemen, for appearing today and for your testimony and the exhibit. It will be considered by the commission. That concludes the hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.